Today I'll be reading chapters 6, 7, and 8 from the book From an Idea to Google by Loie Bundy Sickle. Chapter 6, Let's Be the Good Guys. Receiving $25 million in venture capital funding was big news in the technology world, and suddenly everyone wanted to know all about Google. Although Larry and Sergey had never written a formal business plan for Google, they decided it was time to lay out some basic guidelines for running the company. Larry and Sergey wrote Google's mission: to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. They also wrote 10 Things We Know to Be True, which was a guideline for running their business. Included in the 10 things was a version of Google's founding credo or motto, "Don't be evil." It meant that Google would always be one of the good guys in business, striving to do the right thing for the good of the world, especially in the long term. So here's the list of Google's 10 things. Number 1, focus on the user and all else will follow. Number 2, it's best to do one thing really, really well. Number 3, fast is better than slow. Number 4, democracy on the web works. Number 5, you don't need to be at your desk to need an answer. Number 6, you can make money without doing evil. Number 7, there's always more information out there. Number 8, the need for information crosses all borders. Number 9, you can be serious without a suit. And number 10, great just isn't good enough. Google Doodles. In August 1999, Larry and Sergey decided to take a break from the stresses of Google and attend a festival in the middle of the Nevada desert called Burning Man. It was a multi-day event celebrating artists from around the world. Larry and Sergey wanted their users to know that they were away from the office in case anything happened to their website, so they placed the logo of the Burning Man Festival, a stick figure, behind the second O in the Google logo. A few months later, near the end of October, Sergey called one of Google's top engineers into his office, a woman named Marissa Mayer. Sergey said to her, "We should show people in the world that people at Google care about Halloween." He asked that she post a Halloween-themed version of the Google logo he had designed, complete with pumpkins as O's in the Google logo. Turned out users liked the funny logo and wanted more. Sergey liked them too, and suggested, "What about aliens? Let's put aliens on the homepage. We'll change it every day. It will be like a comic strip that people come back to read." Sergey and his team named the different versions of Google's logo Doodles. Soon there were doodles for Valentine's Day, Easter, and yes, even alien doodles. Over the years, the responsibility of creating doodles has shifted to an entire team of designers, engineers, and graphic artists. They now appear on holidays, anniversaries, and days that celebrate a leader, artist, pioneer, or scientist. April Fools. Sergey, like much like his parents, was known for his witty sense of humor. In addition to designing doodles and playing practical jokes on others, he loved April Fool's Day. On April 1st, 2000, Sergey and some other Googlers decided to launch an April Fool's joke on Google users. They released an announcement on their homepage that Google had a new mind-reading technology called Mentalplex. Google claimed that by removing one's hat and glasses and staring into a swirly red and blue ball on the homepage, and then clicking on it, users would have their minds read by Mentalplex. This, of course, was not possible, so once the user clicked on the ball, April Fools popped up on the screen. Since then, Google has unveiled many more April Fool's Day jokes, mostly announcing fake products that allowed users to do crazy things. There was Google G-Ball, which could determine how hard rugby players threw and kicked the ball, Google Motion, which allowed users to spell out search words by forming letters with their bodies, and Google Nose, which allowed users to smell what they searched for. Chapter 7, In Search of Googliness. Google continued to grow at a rapid pace, and hiring the right people became one of the most important things Larry and Sergey did. The two men insisted their employees, or Googlers, have excellent grades, high SAT scores, and a certain sense of Googliness. That meant every Googler must work well with others and contribute something unique to Google. Larry and Sergey traveled all over the world, from the Middle East to Europe to Russia, seeking out the most talented engineers. Sometimes Larry and Sergey came up with clever ways to identify the brightest engineers in the world. They even had a billboard constructed that read, "First 10-digit prime found in consecutive digits of E.com." The answer to the billboard's riddle was 7427466391. When a person typed www.74274666391.com into their internet browser, it led to another riddle, which ultimately led to a page on Google's recruiting website that stated, "One thing we learned while building Google is that it's easier to find what you're looking for if it comes looking for you. What we're looking for are the best engineers in the world, and here you are." Engineers played such an important role in the future of Google that Larry and Sergey personally interviewed every single engineer, often asking challenging questions. Sergey liked to ask candidates, "Could you teach me something complicated I don't know?" Larry, who was soft-spoken and much more reserved than Sergey, would often ask himself whether a candidate could pass his airport test. "Just think about if you got stuck in an airport with this job candidate on a long layover on a business trip," Larry explained. "Would you be happy or sad about it?" Needless to say, interviews with Larry and Sergey were not boring. Once on Halloween, Sergey conducted an interview while dressed in a full-sized cow costume. Another time, Sergey conducted an interview while wearing rollerblades and athletic shorts. New employees were called Nooglers. One day, a Noogler named Jim Reese showed up at Google for his first day of work. He had gone to Harvard-Yale Medical School and studied to be a neurosurgeon at Stanford. On his first day of work, Larry said, "Here's your space over there. There are a bunch of computer parts over there. Make your own computer." Inspiring innovation. To help foster innovation and encourage creativity among its engineers, Larry and Sergey established some rules early on. Borrowed from the academic world, Larry and Sergey instituted the 20% rule. That meant all engineers could take 20% of their week, or one full day, to work on anything they wanted to. This level of freedom encouraged engineers to think creatively about things they were passionate about: robots, astronomy, animals, maps, books, and dream of the unimaginable. Some of Google's greatest products evolved from the 20% rule, including Gmail, Google Now, Google News, Google Sky, and Street View on Google Maps. Larry and Sergey also created an environment where Googlers naturally shared their ideas with each other. Engineers were required to post all their projects in a database where the other engineers could view, comment, critique, or expand on these ideas. Googlers sat in open cubicles instead of offices with doors. Even Larry and Sergey shared an office. Googlers attended a weekly meeting called TGIF, where Nooglers wore Google multicolored beanie hats topped with a propeller so other Googlers could identify them, and anyone could ask Larry and Sergey questions about anything. Chapter 8. Google Search for Profitability. Google Search soon became the most popular search engine in the world, but Larry and Sergey still had to figure out a way for the company to make money. Like many things on the internet, Google was free to use. People visited www.google.com, typed in their search words, and results appeared. Many internet companies that were free to use made money by putting flashy advertisements on their websites. But Google's homepage was simple, clean, and free of ads. Larry and Sergey did not want to change any of that. They thought traditional advertisements were distracting and misleading, sometimes even teetering on the edge of evil. Then Larry thought about it differently. He wondered, what if ads weren't intrusive and annoying? What if we could deliver a relevant ad at just the right time and give people useful commercial information? Advertising that works. In 2000, Google launched an advertising program called AdWorks. AdWorks made it possible for a company's advertisement to appear only when a person searched for something similar to the ad. For example, a search for children's bedroom furniture might reveal an AdWorks ad for Pottery Barn Kids, or a search for a Red Sox jersey could reveal an AdWorks ad for Dick's Sporting Goods. Ads were clearly marked text boxes that linked to the advertiser's website. No flashy banner ads or graphics cluttered Google's website or slowed down its search engine. Shortly after AdWords launched, users discovered Google's advertising links were often just as useful as Google's search results, and the program took off. A new CEO. With its advertising program now in place, Larry and Sergey needed to make good on their promise to hire a CEO. Over a year had passed since they had raised this $25 million, but Larry and Sergey didn't think anyone was good enough for the job. Then one day, a man named Eric Schmidt entered the picture. Eric was the CEO of a company called Novell and not interested in becoming CEO at Google. However, through a mutual friend, Eric agreed to meet with Larry and Sergey. During the meeting, Sergey and Eric became engaged in a heated intellectual discussion about the way Eric was running Novell. We argued for at least 90 minutes, Eric remembered. By the end of the meeting, Eric was intrigued with Sergey and Google and claimed it was the best argument he had had in a very long time. Larry and Sergey were equally impressed with Eric's computer science background and experience leading large technology companies. Before long, Eric Schmidt was hired as the CEO of Google. Okay, and that's where we are stopping for today. That was chapter 6, 7, and 8.